All right, guys. So my rights were terminated. Hearing date and time 8/27/21. Um, they've got down here on the bottom. There's reasons why they have to give a reason why they terminated your rights. Um, the first one, real quick: neglect or abuse suffered by such child presents a serious and substantial threat to his or her life, health, or development. It is not reasonably likely that the conditions which resulted in such neglect or abuse can be substantially corrected or eliminated as to allow the child's safe return to his or her parents within a reasonable period of time. We see that one is not marked by the way that this case has gone, them not allowing me to see my children since day one, coming and taking my newborn son away from me. You would think whatever that I had did to my children to abuse them or neglect them would fall underneath that category. But instead, this is the one they have checked. The above named parent without good cause has failed to maintain continuing contact with and substantially plan for the future of the child for a period of 6 months after the child's placement in foster care, notwithstanding the reasonable and appropriate efforts of social, medical, mental health, or other rehabilitative agencies to communicate with the parent and to strengthen the parent-child relationship. How can you strengthen a parent-child relationship when you are not allowing the relationship? The above named parent without good cause has been unwilling or unable within a reasonable period of time to not exceed 12 months from the date the child was placed in foster care to remedy substantially the conditions which led to or required continuation of the child's foster care placement, notwithstanding the reasonable and appropriate efforts. I wanted to say supportive of social, medical, mental health, or rehabilitative agencies to such end. So basically, they're saying because I failed to maintain contact with my children, I did not do anything for 6 months to try and have contact with my children. So let's show you. Oh, on the second day of September 2020 came the defendant Amanda Baines and her counsel. We were requesting bond modification hearing. Defendant, after hearing evidence and testimony, the court orders that defendant will have no contact with the victim in regards to the criminal case. So that means I can have contact with her, but I just cannot have contact in regards to the criminal case. So we can't sit down and have a conversation about my charges. The defendant can have contact with the victim in regards to the abuse neglect case in Virginia if Judge Bradley Dalton deems it in the best interest of the children. So I had to go back to Virginia and I had to file a motion for visitation in Virginia. We'll start with this. I am in receipt of your letter regarding supervised visitation between Amanda Baines and the girls. The date on this is June 29th, 2020. So this would have been shortly before we petitioned the court. I would not support but this was used in court as evidence when I went back and asked Virginia courts for visitation again. I would not support nor recommend visitation of any kind between Miss Baines and the girls. First, Miss Baines currently has felony charges pending in West Virginia regarding her failure to protect. Second, each interview that I have had with the Department of Social Services, she has maintained innocence despite statements. She shows no support in the trauma that my children have endured, but instead is more concerned for the outcome of the case. Third, despite her bond conditions of no contact and the no contact provisions through the foster care matter, Miss Baines made contact with child through Facebook on June 12th by specifically tagging her in a post. Now, we will get to this later, but I will let you know this. You have 2 different courts, 2 different states, 2 different jurisdictions, 20 different people working on, in each courts. Things sometimes gets mixed up. The screenshot that they used as evidence at my visitation hearing for my child was totally different than the screenshot that was entered into evidence in West Virginia when they tried to revoke my bond for supposedly tagging my daughter in a post. They were totally different. We'll get to that later, though. I have significant concerns that even if supervised visitation occurs, Ms. Baines will attempt to influence her in a way that will be beneficial to her case. Additionally, given the pending charges against Ms. Baines that directly involve blank as a witness against her, I do not Believe it would be in blank's interest to have contact with Miss Baines at this time, while blank is much younger. That was my little one, and somewhat oblivious as to why she is where she is. She could easily be used slash manipulated to innocently relay information to blank from me. She was 2. She had just turned 2. January 5th. 2 weeks later, they ripped them both out of my arms. So she was 2. How in the hell is she going to relay information? Whatever. The children are doing well and have adjusted quickly to their situation. They adjusted quickly. So my children, they were doing okay. To disrupt their stability while all the matters surrounding their removal are still active would not be in their best interest. So, they're claiming that, my children are traumatized. They have behavioral problems, anxiety, depression, PTSD. But yet you state here that they have adjusted quickly to the situation to disrupt their stability while all the matters surrounding their removal are still active. But now they suffer from all this. Could you have anything to do with that? Because you kept their mother away from them? You made them feel like their mother wanted absolutely nothing to do with them. You gaslit my daughter, my child. No wonder she has PTSD. Anyways, here, March the 20th of 2020. Hey, this is Amanda. I had accidentally deleted your number, but I have it saved now. I was just wondering, once this ban was lifted, what are my chances of seeing my youngest child? Because I knew that I have bond conditions not allowing me to see my oldest child, and that's what we were working on. The ban that they are talking about, COVID. They said that I couldn't see the children because of COVID. Her response: honestly, Amanda, we will just have to see. It will be difficult to allow one child to visit and not the other. We will cross that bridge when we get there. I'm just curious as to why you say that when you have offered to let blank go to the jail and visit with her dad, but blank can't. I'm not trying to be difficult, but it does confuse me. So they're telling me that I can't see my youngest because I have a bond condition, saying that I couldn't see my oldest, right? But they're offering to take my oldest to the jail to see her dad and not my youngest. But yet at the same time, you're saying I can't let one child see one parent and not the other. What? Okay. I mean, if you say so, you have the degree here. So the top one is just what I said. This is her answer. I understand your confusion, but you and blank, the girl's father, are separate and apart from each other and have completely different circumstances. We can't compare the situations. Dad's in jail for violating a protective order against me and the kids. Yes, you heard that right. Against me and the kids. You have them allowing to take my daughter to the jail to see her father while he's incarcerated on violating a protective order against them. Protective order is still in effect. Well, they didn't know if it was in effect or not. They were working on finding out the answer to that. But until we find the answer, we're going to take her to the jail and let her see him. You're going to take an 11-year-old child to a fucking jail. To a jail. To have a 1-hour visit with her father. When her father was there because he violated a protective order against his children. But remember, these people have the PhD, and I'm just crazy. So, of course, they denied me visits. I tried hard to be able to see my children. This was a letter. I have to kind of, I forgot to block out a name here. But this was another letter that was used in keeping my children away from me. My name is blank. I'm a licensed clinical social worker at the blank Counseling Center. I have provided weekly counseling sessions for blank since February 27th of 2020. I am also my other child's outpatient therapist, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, nothing has been scheduled. I understand that there is a petition before the court for visitation by Amanda Baines, the biological mother of the girls. I do not feel that this is currently in the best interest of these children. I am currently providing trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy, and she is working through the first of 3 trauma narratives that we have identified. This is intense therapeutic work, and she is invested in working hard, and I feel that starting visitation while she is processing and working through this trauma will hinder the healing that is taking place. In addition, due to concerns mentioned in the most recent foster care review in the psychological, where, when, and if visitation is initiated, Miss Baines, I would recommend that it begin in a therapeutic setting with a licensed professional. I had asked for that. I said, will you allow me to see my kids with a counselor? I asked them that, and they told me no. But here she is suggesting that. This is consistent with the stated preference of blank of my daughter. I was down with that. I would much rather have my first visit with her in front of a counselor, in front of someone who is trained to be able to handle the many, many, many emotions that are going to come out during this visit, and help us understand them and work through them. Thank you for your consideration of these concerns. So that was September 21st. So from January to September, I was denied seeing my kids because of a bond. Once that was lifted, they go and write letters stating that, it's been too long since I have seen my children, and, they're invested in strong therapy. And, I was even willing to deal with that part. I was like asking questions, how long does this trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy last for? You said that there were narratives. She is working through the first of the 3 trauma narratives. So how long is the first one going to take? How long is the second one? How long is the third one going to take? What kind of time limit are we looking at here? Nobody could ever give me an answer. So from September 24th, 2020 until today, I still have not seen my children. I guess my daughter did not, hasn't made it through her counseling narratives yet. I don't understand what's going on. But for them to terminate my rights because they said that I failed to have any contact or to make a plan for my children coming home is complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. I tried my hardest to see my children. Like, I was constantly on the phone calling my lawyer. Can we file another motion? File another motion for visitation. File another motion for visitation. And he would be like, Miss Baines, we can't go back in front of him. He's going to deny. I don't care. Let him deny it again, and then we'll file it again. We'll appeal it. We'll go in front of that judge. If he denies it, we'll take it to where we need to go. Well, Miss Baines, I think it would be best if you just go ahead and sign over your rights. And if they said that if you signed over your rights, that they would give you yearly updates on your children, yearly. I would receive a picture of my child and an update. They're doing well in school. They're growing. Look how big. Yeah, an update. A yearly update if I sign my rights over. So that's why they took my children, because they're saying that I did not fight for my children. I find it funny that this entire time they have said Miss Baines has no empathy. Miss Baines has no compassion. Miss Baines, the things that Miss Baines says shows that she doesn't care. When in retrospect, if you go back and you look at everything since day one, almost 3 years, guys, 3 years. And every day I have gotten up with the intention of doing what I needed to do to get my children back. To see my children, to hear their voice, to feel them wrap their arms around my neck. I just want to tell them I love them.